Welcome to Sleep with Fear. I'm your host, here to guide you into sleep through the shadows. Each night, I'll share eerie, unsettling stories designed to send chills down your spine just as your eyes begin to close. If you enjoy the darkness, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me what scares you the most. I've lived in this cabin for 5 years. Nearest neighbor's a 30-minute drive, which is exactly how I like it. The power went out 3 nights ago. No storm, no warning. Just the hum of the fridge cutting to silence and the lights flicking off mid-dinner. I lit candles, read a book. The quiet was almost nice. But that night, I woke up at 3:12 a.m. sharp. Not to a sound, but to a brightness flooding my bedroom. The moon had never looked so big. It hung low above the tree line, swollen and yellow, like it was watching me. I stood there at the window for a long time, my breath fogging the glass. Then I went back to bed, telling myself I was just unsettled by the dark. Time 2, same thing. Power still out. 3:12 a.m. I opened my eyes before the light hit. This time, I was expecting it. The moon was lower, so low it hovered behind the trees like a massive glowing balloon. My skin prickled. I stepped outside with my flashlight, but it flickered and died after 1 second. The forest was dead quiet. No crickets, no wind. Just me and the moon, pulsing gently behind the pines. Then I saw it, a figure, silhouetted against the moon, thin, motionless, somewhere between the trees, facing my cabin. I went back inside and locked the door. Last night was night 3, no sleep. I sat by the window, staring at the horizon. The moon came up around midnight. It didn't rise, it floated, quietly, like a hot air balloon on invisible strings. By 3:12 a.m., it was so close I could make out craters with my eyes. It filled half the sky. There were more figures now, 7, standing at the tree line, unmoving. They weren't walking, they were just appearing, closer each hour. One of them raised an arm, not to wave, to point. This morning I tried to leave. My car won't start, phone still dead, no signal. I even walked a mile down the road, nothing but endless fog, like the world had shrunk to just me in this clearing. Tonight is night 4. They're at the edge of the porch now, all 7 of them, just standing there, not speaking, not breathing. The moon is right above the house, so close it looks like it's pressing down on the roof. There's no more sky, just glowing white stone and swirling shadows moving across its surface like clouds. One of the figures is knocking, not on the door, on the window. They're not asking to come in. They're waiting for the moon to do it for them. I had my appendix removed last Thursday. In and out, no complications. The surgeon even joked that it was textbook. They discharged me the next morning with a bottle of antibiotics and instructions not to lift anything heavier than a cat. Easy. But 2 days later, I noticed a small bump near the incision. No pain, just a little lump beneath the skin. I figured it was scar tissue. Then I scratched it and felt something hard. I pressed around it, wincing as something sharp poked back. I went to the mirror, peeled the skin slightly, and saw something white glint beneath the redness. It looked like a tooth. I thought I was hallucinating. Maybe I'd scratched too hard. Maybe it was a piece of bone. I called the hospital, and they told me it was likely a calcium deposit or ingrown stitch. But that night, another one appeared, higher up, near my rib cage. A second white nub, hard and unyielding. When I pressed it, it clicked. By morning, there were 3 more. I went to urgent care. The nurse went pale when she saw them. The doctor barely touched me before referring me to a specialist. No one said anything. They just stared like I was contagious. The next day, I had to pull one out. It wiggled, like a loose molar, but it wasn't in my mouth. It was just below my clavicle. I gripped it with tweezers, yanked, and screamed. It came out with a root, a bloodied root, like a real tooth. I passed out. When I woke, it was clutched in my hand. I didn't go back to the hospital. Instead, I started photographing them. Every new one. They came in rows, down my chest, along my arms. Dozens of them. Small, medium, molar-sized. One grew near my elbow and split the skin open from pressure. It wasn't just teeth anymore. My jaw ached constantly, but not from inside. My skull felt crowded, like something was trying to grow behind the bone. My eyes throbbed. When I looked in the mirror, I swear I saw something pale behind my pupils. Not reflections, crowns. I don't sleep anymore. I can hear them, clicking, shifting, grinding against each other beneath the surface of my skin. Last night, one of them moved on its own. I watched it twist beneath the flesh like a worm, then burrow deeper. They're not random. They're forming something. A shape, a jaw, an entire mouth. And it's smiling. I bought the box at a yard sale on a whim. It was carved from dark wood, small enough to fit in one hand, with tiny brass hinges and no lock. There were symbols on it, stars, circles, something that looked like a flame. It was beautiful in a creepy kind of way. The old woman who sold it to me said, "It's yours for $5, but don't open it in the dark." I laughed. She didn't. I asked her why. She leaned in and whispered, "Because you might hear it before you see it." That night, I placed it on my bookshelf and forgot about it. Until 2:43 a.m., I woke up to whispering. Not a dream, actual voices, low and frantic, like dozens of people speaking at once, just outside the room. I froze. It stopped the moment I turned on the light. My apartment was silent. I checked the hallway, the windows, the air vents, nothing. Then I saw the box. It was open. I know I didn't touch it. The lid was resting upright, perfectly still. Inside was black velvet lining, empty, no compartment, no hidden space, just emptiness. I closed it, locked it in a drawer, went back to bed. The next night, I stayed up, lights on, every bulb burning bright. 2:43 a.m., silence. 2:44, faint rustling from the drawer. 2:45, scraping, like nails on wood. Then the whispering started again, this time, closer. I flung open the drawer. The box was open again. The inside wasn't empty anymore. There was something dark and wet inside, shimmering, shifting. I swear I saw something move. A hand, a mouth, something ancient and hungry. I slammed it shut and threw it in the closet. The voices followed. They don't speak any language I know, but I understand them. They want me to open it. In the dark. Every night, the lights flicker a little more. Bulbs shatter, batteries die. Last night, the power went out completely. I sat in bed, box in hand, whispering all around me. I tried to wait for sunrise, but I blinked, just once, and the box was open. My apartment is empty now, not abandoned, hollowed, like someone scraped me out and left my skin behind, but the box is gone. And this morning at the flea market, I saw another one, different seller, same box, same warning, and someone else bought it. I've been a backyard stargazer for over a decade. Cheap telescope, paper notebook, red flashlight, nothing fancy, just me, the stars, and the quiet. I chart constellations, I log changes, most nights are uneventful, until 3 weeks ago. It started with a minor anomaly. Elnath, a dim star in Taurus, appeared slightly off axis, not twinkling, shimmering, subtle, like it wasn't quite staying still. I double-checked my equipment, cleaned the lens, recalibrated, same result. Over the next few nights, more stars followed. Vega, Arcturus, Deneb, they began drifting. At first, I thought I was going mad. Stars don't move, not like this. They shift over millennia, not days. I recorded it obsessively, compared star maps, even posted on an obscure astronomy forum. Most replies were dismissive, until one user responded. Username, sleep with fear. You're seeing it too. Don't look too long, they don't like being watched. That night, I stayed out past 3 a.m. The stars were closer, subtly so, but unmistakable. Vega pulsed like a heartbeat. I could swear the pattern of constellations had changed. Then something blinked. Not a star, a patch of darkness between stars. It blinked again. The sky wasn't a canvas, it was an eye. I staggered back. My telescope tipped over. The world felt suddenly thinner, like the fabric of reality was paper stretched too tight. I stopped stargazing after that. I tried, but every night the stars still watched. They're always in the same place at 3:33 a.m. now, arranged in a new pattern, a spiral. It tightens every night, and when I close my eyes, I see it carved behind my eyelids. I stopped posting on the forum. Out of paranoia, I tried messaging Sinosure 918 again. Their profile was gone, wiped clean, like it never existed. 2 nights ago, I woke to scratching. Not at the door, at the ceiling. I went outside. The sky was empty, no stars. Just one enormous spiral above my house, faintly glowing, rotating slowly. There was something in the center, a shape, long and angular, descending. I haven't left the house since. The phones are down. GPS doesn't work. My clocks all freeze at 3:33. There's no sun anymore, only light from above, cold and white and unblinking. If anyone finds this message, don't look up. Whatever they are, they know we're watching, and now they're coming to watch back. I bought the VCR for $5. The thrift shop owner seemed eager to get rid of it. As I left, he muttered, "Don't rewind it." That made me laugh. At home, I plugged it in. It worked, surprisingly. Inside was a tape already loaded, dusty, unlabeled except for a crooked piece of masking tape. Someone had written in shaky red ink, "Play once only." Naturally, I pressed play. Static, then blackness, then a hallway. The footage was shaky, handheld, night vision green. It looked like an abandoned building, peeling walls, flickering light bulbs, the hum of dead air. The person behind the camera didn't speak. They just walked, slowly, down the hall, down a staircase, into a dark basement. I started to feel sick, not from gore, there wasn't any, just this crawling wrongness, like the tape wasn't meant to be watched. Eventually, the person reached a metal door. They opened it. The frame froze. A figure stood inside the room, pale, faceless, perfectly still, facing the camera. Then the tape ended. Nothing else. Just a harsh rewind sound, even though I hadn't touched the remote. I tried to eject the tape. The VCR whined, then shut off. The lights in my apartment flickered. My phone screen cracked in my hand. The power surged and came back. The VCR powered on by itself. The tape began again. But this time, the hallway was different, more decayed. The person filming walked faster. Their breathing was audible, ragged, panicked. Same basement, same door. But when they opened it, the faceless figure was closer, almost against the lens. I yanked the cord out of the wall. The screen stayed on. I grabbed the VCR, carried it outside, and smashed it with a hammer until it sparked and cracked apart. Inside was no tape, only teeth, tiny human teeth, hundreds of them. That was 3 nights ago. Last night, my TV turned itself on at 2:06 a.m. It played the hallway again, but I wasn't holding the camera anymore. I was in the footage, walking, slowly, toward the basement, toward the door. And this time, when it opened, the figure had a face. Mine. I moved to Briar Hollow to get away from everything. A little town tucked between hills and cornfields, population barely 400. Perfect for someone like me, quiet, private, invisible. The locals were kind enough, if a little odd, especially about the scarecrow. It stood in the middle of an empty field just off the main road. 7 feet tall, arms outstretched, stuffed with corn husks and bound with rusted wire. No birds ever landed near it, no crops were planted there. Every resident called it the straw man. First week I was there, I asked about it at the diner. Conversation stopped, people stared. The waitress leaned in and whispered, "Don't talk about it, just leave your offering come September." "Offering?" I asked. She nodded. Corn, bread, honey, or blood, but never nothing. I thought she was joking. I laughed. She didn't. I forgot about it until this morning. September 1st. A note was slipped under my door. "You live here now. You owe the straw man." Creeped out, I went to the field. Sure enough, there was a crude altar set up at the edge. Jars of jam, bushels of wheat, coins, and small animal bones. And a thin trail of blood leading from the altar to the straw man's feet. It looked different up close, not ragged, deliberately made. The stitching was precise. The burlap mask had 2 black buttons and a wide-stitched smile. But the worst part was the smell. Earthy, rotten, faintly metallic. I left an apple and $1. That's all I had. That night I couldn't sleep. Wind howled through the trees. I kept hearing soft footsteps on gravel outside. When I finally looked through the blinds around 3 a.m., my stomach dropped. There were straw footprints across my porch, trailing up to my door, and then away. I checked the field that morning. The scarecrow was gone. The altar had been overturned. That night, the power went out. Then the scratching started, at the walls, the ceiling, inside the walls. I hid in the bathroom, clutching a knife, shaking. The mirror, I saw movement behind me. I turned. There was only straw, piled neatly behind the door. And on the fogged mirror, 3 words had been written with something dark and sticky. You gave nothing. I don't know the rules. I don't know what it wants, but I haven't slept since. Because I know he's out there, walking through the corn in the dark. The straw man doesn't stay on his pole forever. He collects. The village of Dry Hollow hadn't seen rain in over a year. Crops failed, livestock starved, wells sank into dust. Some left, the rest waited, prayed, starved quietly. And then there was me. I inherited the farm from my grandfather, a man who before dying gave me just one warning: never plow beyond the stone. At the edge of my field sat a half-buried boulder, black and slick like tar. It didn't match the local geology. Nothing grew near it. He used to call it the root stone. But this year my fields were empty. My barn was hollow, and I had a family to feed. So I did what desperate men do. I broke the rule. I dug past the stone. The earth was strange beneath it, soft, almost spongy, rich and black, like it had been feeding on something. I planted corn. It grew fast, unnaturally fast. Within days, stalks burst from the soil like green spears, thick, strong, alive. The villagers noticed. Some avoided my property altogether. Others came by to warn me. You stirred the hollow, old Marta whispered. That stone seals a hunger. I laughed. I should have listened. The corn grew tall, twice as tall as me. It rustled constantly, even when there was no wind. Sometimes I thought I heard voices from between the rows. One night I went out to check for raccoons. I didn't come back for 3 hours. I don't remember where I went, but I woke up in the field, clothes torn, hands raw, surrounded by hoof prints, but no animals. That was the first night. The next morning I found a deer in the field. Not dead, split, perfectly in half, no blood, like it had been peeled open by invisible hands. I burned that row of corn. The fire wouldn't catch. Instead, the smoke drifted backward, into my face, into my house, into my lungs. By the next week, the corn had grown around my porch. The stalks pressed against the windows like curious fingers. My family refused to sleep upstairs. At night, I heard it whisper. Not the wind, the corn, asking for names. Last night, the villagers gathered in silence. Marta stepped forward and laid a bowl of salt at my door. You fed it, she said. Now it feeds. I don't know what that means, but this morning the stone was gone. In its place is a hole, deep and breathing. I hear something moving down there. Roots, maybe, or something older. I've locked the doors, but the corn is growing again, inside the house. There is a hole where I sleep. It wasn't there yesterday, I think. Not the kind of hole you crawl into. Not physical exactly. It's under my bed, or maybe it is my bed now. The shape is wrong when I lie down. The sheets fall in just slightly. My dreams get lost in it. I dropped my phone between the mattress and the wall and never heard it hit the floor. The hole took it. I called the number. Something picked up. Breathing, but not mine. Day 2. The hole is growing. My socks disappeared, then my cat. Her name was Lily, I think. I left a note by the bedside. Do not sleep here. This morning it was gone. A new note sat in its place. You already did. Day 3. I don't dream anymore. I fall and I wake up screaming. Once I woke up to find dirt under my fingernails. Once I woke up with my ear pressed to the floorboards, listening to something whisper my own name backwards. Once I didn't wake up for a full day, I think. Day 5. I pushed my mattress into the hallway, slept on the couch, set up cameras, burned sage. The feed cut at 3:17 a.m. When I rewound it, the footage was corrupted. Not static, just black. Then a flicker, a single frame. Me, standing over myself, smiling. Day 7. The hole speaks now. Only in rhythm, only in tone. No words, just a lullaby that sounds like my mother humming in the kitchen. but it loops too smoothly. It's not a song, it's a recording. I check the attic, the basement, nothing. Just the feeling of being watched from underneath. Day 9. The floor is buckling. One leg of the bed slipped inside last night. When I reached to feel how deep it goes, my arm went too far. I didn't feel the bottom, but something felt me. It stroked my wrist with too many fingers. I screamed. It laughed, with my voice. Day 12. I haven't left the house. I forget why I'm afraid. I think I'm afraid because I'm not the one who sleeps here anymore. The hole is. It wears my skin better than I ever did. Day 13. You are reading this now, which means it's behind you. The building has 2 floors. That's what the lease said. That's what the realtor said. That's what my eyes said from the street. 1 floor above me, 1 below. So I live on the 2nd floor, until last night. Until I walked up the stairs and found a 3rd. I was tired, half asleep. I'd just come back from a late shift. I climbed the familiar wooden staircase and expected to reach my door. Instead, I reached 1 more flight. The steps were older, carpet torn, smelled like rain and static. I don't remember deciding to climb, but I did. The hallway was wrong, longer than the building, unlit but still visible. The walls breathed slightly, like lungs behind wallpaper. The floor bowed in the middle, as if weighed down by something heavy that had passed through recently. There were doors. Each one was slightly open. Each one had a number, but the numbers weren't in sequence. Room 1, room 99, room... Something hummed behind the doors, not machines. Voices, but underwater, like memories muttering to themselves. One door was labeled with my name. I didn't open it. At the far end of the hall was a window. I looked out. There was no ground, only sky. But not blue, black, covered in slow-turning stars that pulsed like thoughts. The stars rearranged themselves as I watched. They spelled, "You weren't supposed to see this." I ran. I don't remember getting back to my bed, but I woke up there sweating, heartbeat wrong, like my pulse was echoing. I went outside and looked up. The building still has 2 floors. But now, sometimes, just sometimes, there's a shadow on the roof that shouldn't be cast. A long, tall silhouette of something with no head. And every night since, the stairs have changed. They're longer now. 1 extra step every day. Today there are 32, and when I reach the top, my key doesn't work. It never does at first, because something else tries it before I do.